Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unarmored Talk podcast, where we will have real life conversations that helps you develop an accurate way of thinking. The way we're going to do this is by gaining a better understanding of how feelings, emotion, and thoughts can influence the outcome of a personal or professional challenge. I'm your host, Mario P. Fields, and today's guest is Annie Nelson. She is the author of Resilience, Coming Back from Crisis with Faith, Passion, and Purpose. Annie Nelson from Southern California. Welcome to Unarmored Talk podcast.
Hello there, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm still 5'2.5" and living. How are you?
I'm still 5'10" and stuck in Cali. It's nobody like she's from California. I'm like, no, I reside in California. I'm from Minnesota.
Yeah, you know that's I had to keep in line with the discussion framework on our talk with accurate speaking. That's why I was like, yeah, we gotta say she's from Southern California. It makes it sound sweeter right now. No, but hey, thanks again for taking time out of your schedule, Annie. You and I have a personal and professional connection. So to me, this just feels like we're just kind of catching up from my days out moving to Warwick Time West. But can you tell the listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself?
Well, you and I met with my work with American Soldier Network. I'm the founder of a nonprofit that supports our veterans and military for everything they do when they come home. And I founded that organization back in 2004, so a wink ago. And then that's been kind of my journey going forward from then. But that started with, as well, like the book said, but that was created out of a pen pal relationship with 3 Marines that were stationed at Camp Pendleton. And that was born out of the need to do something after 9/11, of course. But I do my work with them. I've been an advocate in the mental health industry for, a long time. And then through a lot of different health challenges that I've had, that has actually helped me in filling my toolbox with the resources that I've needed to do when I've been on base or been around the VA or been around the guys and gals coming home. It's not that I don't pretend to know what it's like to deploy or to go through what any of y'all have gone through serving our country, but I kind of know a little bit about going through some challenges and some crises, and God equipped me to be able to understand a little bit of that. And if that's been able to help me help y'all, then that was what my walk was supposed to do. So I picked up and moved on from there, and I do American Soldier Network 24/7. And out of that work, there was a gentleman who I think you know kind of well, Sergeant Major Kent, who was a 16th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, who said, "You need to write a book." And I said, "No, really, I don't." And he kind of has a way of getting his way. Yeah. So he encouraged me to do so. And I started on that process. And then there was a Special Forces Green Beret who encouraged me to finish the book when we had some stumbling blocks along the way. And Larry Broughton said, you need to finish what you started. And he helped me to find a person to help me get it done. And we did. And so we were able to get the book complete. And now I've been speaking for a long time, ever since I've had some challenges with my back injury, and then 6 concussions, 2 brain tumors, back injury, 2 back surgeries, 3 knee surgeries, and a host of other things. So public speaking, writing, I write for U.S. Veterans Magazine, running the nonprofit, and taking care of my pup. Other than that, I'm, just hanging out.
Annie, you mentioned, your book, and you did it to help people. Well, you have helped me. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this episode, I have it right here. Beautiful picture of Annie Nelson. She doesn't like when I do that, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Beautiful picture of Annie Nelson. As you guys can see, please pick the book. You guys can get the book as soon as you can. Read it. It's a good read. It has helped me. And again, Annie Nelson, Resilience, Coming Back from Crisis with Faith, Passion, and Purpose. But let's get right into it. Unarmored Talk podcast, right? We jump right into the topic. Annie, you so eloquently mentioned all of the life challenges you've had, multiple surgeries, multiple injuries, multiple things that have occurred to you that you did not expect. But let's talk about, and it's chapter 5, ladies and gentlemen, but out of all of that, let's talk about what really, really made you rethink things and challenge you. And that was, I want to say, your dad, who's about 6'8". Now we know why you're 5'10", by the way.
Yeah.
But
he was a boy.
but out of nowhere, you're in your mid-30s per se, but dad starts to turn, his health starts to turn in a different direction. Let's talk about that journey.
Well, yeah, I'm an only child, and dad was kind of my whole world. He was my hero, and we were extremely close. I mean, I'm close with my mom too. My mom is my best friend, and being from the Midwest, we moved out to California when I was little. Excuse me, I've got an itch on my nose. We moved out here into the family, extended cousins and aunts and uncles. They were all still back in the Midwest. So we were just kind of it out here on the West Coast. But my dad was larger than life, other than just being 6'8" in a lot of ways. He was a gentle giant, but he was also just a huge influence, not only in my life, but in the lives of a lot of my friends and my girlfriends and kind of in everybody that he came across. And when he was 16 years older than my mother. So he was 45 when I was born. And I was, of course, the apple of his eye and the sunshine of his world. And mom was cool with that. I mean, she never got jealous like a lot of, people might have thought you would have, having that happen. But it was a unique closeness that my dad and I shared. And my mom worked as well. So dad would always come up to college and have lunch with me and take my girlfriends out. And so we just had a very unique and fun bond. But when he got older, you never knew it. He always looked young. He was always in great health. My dad was never sick in his life. I don't ever remember him being sick growing up at all. Mm-hmm. And then he would always do very proactive things like a lot of guys don't, which is funny because I have a lot now that I'm in my 50s and stuff. I'm always getting on a lot of my buddy friends, did you get your colonoscopy? Have you done? And they look at you like you're a nag, but it's like, no, you really need to be preventative and proactive. Dad was, thank goodness. But I think he did that for my mom and I because of the age difference. And so he came home one time. He was over in California. They had a home in Arizona and a home in Cali and spent most of their time in Arizona, but kept their doctors and things here in California. And he had come home from an annual colonoscopy and boom, had colon cancer. And that started a very, it was 2 years, but it went by so quick. And his colon cancer, he had surgery and beat that. But in the process of that at the hospital, got a staph infection and turned into a very ugly battle and was in the hospital for quite a long time. And then shortly after that, he was just so weak because he was just so large, but he had to have surgery to get rid of the staph infection and it attacked the spine. And then there was a point in the hospital during that journey where they were actually, I'm O negative and my dad has a rare blood type, and O negative, you're a universal donor. They were actually taking my blood from me and putting it right into my dad. And he was in ICU and my mom would stay all during the day, or all at night, and I would stay all day. And we just were around the clock with my dad because we learned really quickly how you have to be your own healthcare advocate. And you just have to, if you can. A lot of families can't, but we just kind of took over my dad's health and his advocacy. And we were like, Mama Bear and Baby Bear gonna take care of dad. And then they got home and he wanted to go back to Arizona. He just really wanted to go. That was his dream, was to retire over there and spend your golden years. And unfortunately, when they got there in 98, and then this had happened in 2000 and 2001, the golden years weren't very golden and were very short. But they got back to Arizona and he just never really rebounded from the colon cancer and the staph infection. And we knew something was up. And he got diagnosed over there with a new cancer, which was a new primary, and it was lung. And the mass at the time was small when he was diagnosed, but it was very rapid growing. It was inoperable. And they got him to the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale, and that journey was going to be harsh. He was told he was going to have a very short amount of time, and it was either going to be quality or quantity. And he chose to try chemo because he tried it for my mom and I. He's like, I'll try it for my girls and see if I can get more quantity. But after he was just too weak, and the chemo was harsh. And a lot of people that are out there, cancer, is violent and it attacks people of all ages. And it's a journey that, nobody wants to go on, caregivers or the patient that's suffering. And everybody handles it differently, but it was harsh on my dad. And So he went through the first season of chemo and it was too harsh. And finally he just said, I'm going for quality. I can't do this, because it was too hard to watch and it was too hard on him. And so we knew it wasn't going to be long. And sure enough, I mean, he was diagnosed in the beginning of the year and he passed away in September. So it was a short journey. And
Yeah. Wow.
you know,
And it's
that
and it's interesting how, he goes into the hospital for surgery for, the colon cancer, and then it turns into this staph infection and infects his spine. And now you're dealing with multiple infections and diseases and illness and you didn't think about. And just, I can only imagine. But when this started to happen, and I want to say you were with your parents because you were still recovering from some of your own injuries, but as you're going through this phase in your life, what emotions did you start to experience when you start to see your hero not healthy anymore?
I think, to be perfectly honest, when it first happened, you go into disbelief, and then your armor, you don't become unarmored, you become armored, and you go into that tactical mode, and you just, you have a fight on your hands. And being an only child, it's very different for me, because there is no brother or sister that's going to help carry the load. So I went into defense mode. I had to be strong for my parents. I had to be strong for my mom, who was going to take care of the man that she's loved. And she took care of him. When he came home sick, we didn't have live-in nurses. We didn't have anybody come till the very, very end. We had hospice, but my dad passed away at home. And then you're strong for your dad. I wasn't going to let my dad see me cry. I was going to be strong for both of them, and I was going to carry the load for both of them. So during the whole process of it, I don't think I let myself feel. Sure, when I first got the notice that the lung cancer came, well, actually during the colon cancer process, my dad's doctor immediately had me come in for a colonoscopy, because fathers pass colon cancer to daughters genetically.
Wow.
Which I know, and a lot of people don't know. And so sure enough, he had his surgery, and the following week I went in at 35 for my very first colonoscopy, and I had polyps that had to be removed right then and there. And so at 35, which women don't even get colonoscopies, let alone, we do, but not at 35.
Right.
And seldom do you ever have polyps that need to be removed at that age. So I did that, got that taken care of. And then with the staph infection happening, and then we were just so adamant about being there 24/7, watching his care, watching the nurses, because the staph infection, what happened was he was at a hospital. He had a mainline pick in his neck because he was a heart patient. He had arrhythmia and atrial fib, and he lived in atrial fib. And what happened is one of the nurses did not, on the nursing shift change, they didn't do a heparin flush of his mainline pick, and that's where the staph originated.
Got it.
So crap happens, but that's how the staph infection got to my dad. So
Yeah.
Mom and I, at that, okay, he's not going to be alone at the hospital. Mom was focused on dad. I was focused on, I wouldn't say I was bitchy, excuse me for using that word,
No,
but
fine. It's Unarmored Talk.
I was,
Not made
I
for
was,
kids.
man, the hospital take better care of my father. And they were trying to push it. He was in a private room, and they were going to try to push him out to a different room, and they were going to try to get him out of the hospital quicker. And he wasn't ready for that. He was needing blood transfusions, and he was needing surgery. So you go into this mode of, things got to get done. So I didn't allow myself to feel, not intentionally. I just think that was the mode I went into. And then when he got out of that and they went back to Arizona, I started to exhale. And then I just had to kind of pick up the pieces and get back to my life, to the things that I had kind of neglected. And then when he diagnosed with lung cancer, you're shell shocked, just like a kick in the gut. And then that fight was, during the colon cancer and during the staph infection, it was touch and go, but we always thought he was going to come through it. And then when we got him to Arizona, and then they were kind of, yeah, he was weak and all, but we didn't think it was terminal. And then when we got the lung cancer diagnosis, that we knew was terminal. I fell apart initially because I was here, they were there, and I, fell to the floor and I lost everything. I just completely wept. And then I have a really strong faith, and I leaned in really hard on that. And I've always kind of done a lot on my own. It's that only child thing again.
Right.
And just kind of dug deep on that. And the drives back and forth, I would drive back and forth from Arizona to California every third day initially. And I I'd put in Toby Keith, because back then that was like my flavor of the day for music. But I would lean into the music, and music for my sanity is a huge thing. And I would just blare the radio and listen to a ton of music. We didn't have podcasts back then. We didn't really have a lot of talk, but I fortunately had a ton of CDs and I would play them, and I just kind of take that drive time down the 10 where you're counting cactus.
Right.
And that would kind of be my mental time to just exhale and listen to music and just have my own time. Once he passed, and we did funeral number 1 over in Arizona, we did funeral number 2, then I was starting to kind of decompress and figure out, like, okay, now how's the world going to look without him?
Yeah.
About 2.5 weeks after my dad's second funeral, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. So
wow.
Yeah, she was diagnosed with thymoma, and here I am just getting ready to figure me out again now without the biggest influence of my life, my daddy. And now I had to go into the fight to help her and to take care.
So let me just make sure I accurately got this. You got your armor on, right? You're in combat, right? The combat of life. And like you said, Annie, you put your armor on you're aware of your emotions, but you put that armor on so your mom and dad, right, didn't see him. You're in the fight, right? I'd use the cliche, in the fight. And here you are being, the only child and the daughter. I'm gonna be strong for my mom and dad during this challenge. That unfortunately passes, and then mom's diagnosed with cancer as you're starting to remove your armor.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like like the storm you thought was over, and you're just starting to feel like you can kind of exhale and breathe and figure out, now how's life going to go without him? And then boom, the thunderstorm starts up again, and now you have another. So mom and I even talked about that, because for the whole first year, when you lose someone, everything, your firsts are really big, like your first Christmas without them, your first Thanksgiving without them, the first time that you go through their birthday without them, your first Father's Day without them. Those are really hard times. But when that happened, I'm fighting for mom. So my first year without dad was all fighting to save mom. So my first year of firsts really didn't happen till year 2. So I really say it was like a 2-year just whirlwind of kind of a roller coaster. And the crisis never really finished for I lost dad. It was like a year of, his battle. Then it was a year of mom's battle. So there was like a 2-year period where I think everything was just kind of, I checked out emotionally.
Right.
And it was like, I guess if you guys deploy and you're deployed for a year or more, you're into the fight mode, your deploy mode, your combat mode. You just don't have time to think about everything going on back home, because that would hinder your ability to conduct the mission. And I think that's if I could translate that for me, I was checked out and in deployed mode. I was trying to, figure out how to just combat everything that was happening and being thrown at me. And I had checked out on me, trying to make sure that they were okay. And then when they weren't okay, just trying to, hold everything up as best as you can and get through what was happening and make sure the doctor's appointments were met and the hospital visits were met and the bills were getting paid on, her house and my house, and just navigating through the storm while the storm's happening, because, eventually at some point the storm's going to be over and then you can figure it out then. But while the storm's happening, you just get up every day, put your clothes on every day and try to just weather the storm while it's happening. And then once the storm's over and you exhale and you think, shoot, that was rough. That was really rough. So that's kind of, I think, how that all went down. I just don't think I felt while that.
And thank you for sharing that, because it just aligns again with your book, Crisis, right? Coming back from crisis. You had crises, right? you were in the plural version. But you mentioned faith, Annie. You mentioned that you went to your faith during crisis, which I think is very important to mention. There's so many people, I believe, in crisis as we speak, as we record this episode, and faith for some might not be an option, but it can be an option, right? It's a choice,
Right.
And so I thank you for.
Yeah, and I'm not a Bible thumper. I mean, I think it's a relationship if you choose to have it.
Yeah.
For me, faith, FAITH, is forsaking all. I trust Him, and that's just, it's gotten me through. I mean, it got me through that chunk of time. It's gotten me through 2 brain tumors. One was 6.5 centimeters and almost killed me, and it took 10 hours and 45 minutes at USC for Dr. Janata to save me. And then, fast forward 8 years, boom, you have another one. And I was like, oh, seriously? One wasn't enough. Let's slap another one in there.
Yeah, you need more.
Yeah. And then a year ago, February, I had a massive, huge, big back surgery. And then 6 weeks ago today, I went in thinking we were going to take one of the screws out just because I was having some problems and with the S1 nerve on the right side. And so my back doctor, amazing. He's like, we'll just take one screw out. That should fix it. But if I get in there and something's, haywire, I'll fix it while I'm in there. And so I thought I was an outpatient, and I woke up. He's like, you're not going home tonight. I had to redo the entire back surgery of last year and put a rod in. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? It's like, I go big or go home. I mean, nothing can just go simple in this body. It's just bizarre.
Well,
and then 6 questions, I'm like, oh, okay.
Well,
so for me,
I would tell you that your example has proven that you can influence the outcome of a situation or situations while living if you just think through them and not emotionally respond to everything that happens to you. What is if you're reflecting back on that particular time in your life, is there any advice you can give someone today that may be going through the same thing as we speak?
Lord, I hope they're not. I would just say, no matter how dark or how stormy it gets, and it sounds like so cliche, the storm always passes. It does. I mean, look at the year we all just went through with COVID, for example. It was a year, but it's over. Like, no, it's not 100% over, but for the most part, we've all just gone through 2 weeks to flatten the curve, which turned into 12 months, which we're still kind of getting there, but eventually it's going away. And we all made it through, not all of us. And I feel bad for those that didn't make it, but those of us that did, we've survived another challenge. And you have to everybody's got something. There is not a person on the planet that doesn't have something that they're going through. So we all have something. Right. And you can either wake up and be like, glad you're waking up smelling daisies and thankful you're not looking up at daisies for the you're not underground.
Right.
You just have to be thankful that you get another day, and don't ever let your past define your present. You always get a new day. There's a clean slate every morning you wake up, and every morning you wake up breathing. It's your choice how you want to tackle that day. If you want to wake up and think about what happened yesterday and wake up disgusted, that's your choice. Nobody is telling you to do that. If you want to wake up and be bummed and sad and depressed and grab a drink or pop a pill or smoke a joint or whatever, that's your choice.
Right.
But that's always going to lead you down another dark path with another storm ahead. If there's anybody that knows pain, physical pain that hurts, it's yours truly. I have not had a pain-free body since 1994. I feel pain in my body every single day, but it's my choice to try to learn how to live with that and still make the best out of every single day, because there's going to be a point in time where I'm not going to get a day to have. So for me, it's through faith. It's through knowing that I can't do it all by myself, even though I grew up an only child and I felt like I was myself. You have to find a team. And like for my medical stuff, I have a team, and I'm blessed with an amazing team of people. And my doctors have become really good friends of mine, but I have an astounding team of people that put me back together. I have a physical therapist, and she's amazing. My surgeons are incredible people. Yes, I have health insurance, but you have to really lean in and find people that you relate to and that are on the same page, and that your best interest is their best interest. Don't just like, throw it to the wind and throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. Really, surround yourself with people that truly, genuinely want you to thrive, and then get them on your team, and then ask for people to help you. I mean, I see so many people out there on the pity pot, and you know what? That's your choice. Don't be on the pity pot.
Yeah.
I lost my dad, and it was horrible, but everybody loses their dad. Some people don't even have relationships with their dad. Some people don't have relationships with their mom, but they brought you into this world. I mean, at least for whatever your relationship is with your parents, try to at least be thankful that you have parents and that they brought you into this world, whatever your relationship is. I was blessed with two amazing individuals that chose to have a baby and gave me an amazing life. And I couldn't be more blessed. And for that, I'm eternally grateful.
Nice. Yeah. Well, hey, again, ladies and gentlemen, resilience, coming back from crisis with family, passion, and purpose. Chapter 5, by the way, is the chapter that Annie does a great job, right, in going through this kind of very, very troubling time, challenging time for her. It's called My Rock Crumbles. Annie, how can people find you?
Oh, goodness. On your basic social media, I'm on Instagram, The Annie Nelson. I'm on Twitter, The Annie Nelson. I'm on LinkedIn, The Annie Nelson. I'm on Facebook, The Annie Nelson. I think I'm on Cloud. Your basics, but always The Annie Nelson, because apparently there was another Annie Nelson in the world. Go figure. The book is on Amazon or Walmart online. And I got to give a shout out to Kevin Sorbo, the actor, because he did the foreword. And I was very, very lucky that he's a good friend, but he's had some pretty amazing challenges himself. And so thanks to Kevin for doing the foreword. It was a very neat blessing to have him involved in the book. And there's some other famous friends in the book that you might enjoy seeing on there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for those words of wisdom for our listeners and viewers. But ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.